Hello and welcome in. This is the Wasatch Football Show. Our magical episode number 1. I am Calvin Johnson.
And I am Josh Medeiros, the guest host for today.
Josh, how's it feel to be part of broadcast history?
You know what? This feels pretty historical, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to this. We're going to see what happens, make some magic happen, so...
Pretty soon, we're going to be able to look back on this, the very first episode of the Wasatch Football Show. It all began right here.
That's right, you heard it here first.
The Wasatch Football Show, by the way, will be a new weekly YouTube podcast right here live on YouTube Live, discussing all the teams in the Wasatch Front, from Brigham Young, the University of Utah, the Utah State Aggies, as well as the National Football League. We'll have a lot of NBA discussion. Pretty much everything except soccer.
Except the MLS. Everything except that. I'm sorry.
And now we have a sad face from our cameraman, Jaden Chamberlain. We appreciate everything Jaden does for us except the soccer thing, right?
That's the one thing I can say I definitely do not appreciate. But, hey, doing a great job behind the camera. Really appreciate it.
Well, it's about that time, Josh. Are you beginning to feel the drought? NBA finals are over. We haven't had football in months.
It's that tough part of the year, I'm telling you. I mean, as much as I love baseball, regular season baseball seems to drag on. You get that dry spot with the All-Star break. SportsCenter searches for headlines. You know, I'm ready for football season, I can tell you that much.
It is time for football season to come. We still got a few weeks away until training camps open. It's about that time in summer where everybody has an opinion, but very few of them are probably going to be right.
That's those way too early predictions that are actually never too early, but we're here ready for those way too early predictions.
So we're here for some early predictions, and these are going to be NFC predictions here in episode 1 of the Wasatch Football Show. So no McGregor-Mayweather predictions. We'll just keep it football related.
I'm going to hold it off, avoid the controversy for now. But you know what? After talking with you last week, I'm really excited to hear about your picks.
Yeah, well, the NFC is top to bottom the better conference in football.
Yep.
We all know where the best team in the AFC is New England, and they're the best team in football.
No doubt.
No one's going to dispute that. No one's going to say the Belichick-Brady dynasty is anywhere near the top. But switching over to the NFC, we see a conference that appears to be wide open.
Yep, a lot of parity in this conference for the first time in a long time. And you know what? It was difficult to make some of these picks. I see lots of divisions that from top to bottom are just really strong. A couple of divisions that are a little weaker in the bottom half. But, I mean, I see a lot of 10-win teams, possible 10-win teams in this conference for this year.
Well, a good place to begin. We'll go east to west. The NFC East, last year, Dallas, a revelation with Zeke Elliott, Dak Prescott, 2 rookies leading the way to a 13-win season. My question for you, the Dallas Cowboys have not had back-to-back double-digit win seasons since 1995. They had a guy named Troy Aikman.
I don't think I've heard of him.
Some guy named Emmitt Smith.
Bell, you know? Ooh, I don't know. I think I've heard of that name. But, you know, it has been a long time. And not only with that, they have not made consecutive playoff appearances since 2006 and 2007 when they had this one broadcaster, Tony Romo. It'd be interesting to see what happens in these first few seasons without him, especially. And they play Kansas City this week, and that could be the opportunity for Tony Romo to broadcast while watching his new team. But, I mean, you're right. Dallas really hasn't been a consistent team in recent history. But I really love this atmosphere and philosophy that these rookies bring to the team. Being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I always have a hard time watching the Cowboys. It's just something that's in my blood, I guess. But I enjoyed watching the Cowboys last year. I love Ezekiel Elliott, even after the way he ripped my heart out with that game-winning touchdown. But this is a different team. This is a different team for sure.
Anytime you can see Pittsburgh have their heart broken, it's a good day. It's a great day in the neighborhood.
For most people.
For most people in Dallas, it's going to be Minneapolis or bust. Super Bowl 52 this year.
52.
52 right. Up in Minnesota in that brand new, spanking new, beautiful Viking Stadium.
That's right.
Are the boys, my question for you, Josh, are the boys setting themselves up for disappointment with these expectations they're bringing in? By my counts, they easily have probably the NFL's most difficult schedule having to take on the top teams in the AFC, and nothing in that NFC East is a given between the Giants,
Yep.
the Redskins,
And the Eagles.
and the Eagles. Is it too much preseason expectations in Dallas?
You know what? You would think so, and it may be the safe bet to go with that. But I have them going for 11 wins, 4-2 in the division. Like you said, this is a hard pick, especially considering their success last year. Like you said, very difficult schedule. They have last month visits with Oakland and Philadelphia, and home visits from the Seahawks and from the Giants. And they play the AFC West, like you said. Some of the best AFC teams are found in that division. You got the Chiefs, the Raiders, Broncos, Chargers are okay. And then they also have visits from Atlanta and Green Bay. But an interesting thing about this Cowboy team is they are a great road team. They have 3 2-game road trips this year. Last year they were 6-2 on the road. We know they finished with 13 wins. 2014, when they finished 12-4, they were 8-0 on the road. And then even in 2015, when they finished 4-12, 3 of those 4 came on the road. So if this team emerges as one of the top 3 seeds in the conference, we will know that this will be a battle-tested team. And I have them going to Minneapolis personally.
You know, they're going to a team that's going to struggle down the stretch. Look at this schedule. I think it was 3 of their last 4 games coming on the road.
Yep. It looks like they got Oakland, Philadelphia, Seattle, and New York. So
it's going to be a rough stretch
slate.
going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they are a playoff team. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the expectations are going to kill Dallas this year. They're going to win a division.
I agree with that, yes.
There's going to be some growing pains. Everyone thinks that Zeke Elliott is automatically the best running back in the NFL. He probably is. But look what happened in Los Angeles last year with the Rams' Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
That sophomore slump is going to be expected in the backfield. It's a tough schedule. I have Dallas coming in at 10-6,
Okay.
just enough to get that division crown. I don't see them making a run to the Super Bowl.
I agree with that. It will be that last stretch that will define them. If they can take 2 or even 3 of those last 4, I see them being battle-tested enough to make it to the Super Bowl. I guess the difference between Todd Gurley, I just love the system they have in Dallas. Fantastic offensive line. And, I mean, Dak Prescott is no Jared Goff. So I have a lot more faith in this team. Defense should be slightly improved. I have them at 11, but that last month is going to be really defining for this Cowboy team.
It's going to be a tough road for the defending NFC East champs.
Yep.
Eli Manning entering the end of his window. He's going to be 37.
Yep.
Giants drafted Davis Webb, the apparent successor. Over in Philadelphia, things are trending up. Carson Wentz may not recapture the Donovan McNabb, Andy Reid era magic, but he does have the team trending up.
Yep.
And Redskins are an enigma. Redskins seem like a team that could be a 5-win team or an 11-win team, just how the wind blows.
Exactly. For me, they're a huge wild card. Not a fan of this whole Kirk Cousins fiasco. And for me, he falls into that Andy Dalton category of good enough that you don't want to get rid of him, but not great enough to win a division title or even much less a Super Bowl.
So many in that category. Dalton,
exactly.
Stratford, the list goes on. Phillip
Exactly.
Rivers.
I see Kirk Cousins fall into that, especially this whole fiasco with getting this contract ironed out with the franchise tag. But
Doesn't sound like he's a happy camper right now.
So I have them remaining competitive, but like you said, in between that 5-win, 11-win, I have them going for 8-8.
8-8's a safe prediction out of Washington. My player to watch, first-round draft pick, Samaje Perine in Washington. My fantasy football sleeper. We'll discuss more about Perine in a minute.
Okay.
Let's move on. What division do you want to talk about next, Josh?
Let's head north. I think this division was a little easier to predict, at least for me personally. I just don't see much competition for the Green Bay Packers. The Cheeseheads ended fantastic last season. Made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. I can honestly say I did not see that, especially considering the way they started. Again, playing in a relatively weak division. Majority of their wins will come off weak opponents, specifically Detroit, Chicago. They have tough games against Dallas, Pittsburgh, and the NFC South. But I love the addition of Martellus Bennett. I don't know what you think. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a lot of fun with his new toys.
It's going to be another division championship for the Cheeseheads. What a weapon to have. Aaron Rodgers, his 13th year in the league, only 33 years old. He was young when he came out of Cal.
Yep.
He gives you a chance no matter who you're playing.
I can agree with that for sure.
Hold on one moment as our cameraman Gets the picture back.
Oh, there we are.
And there we are back again. We had a brief interference on our signal. But again, the NFC North seems like it's going to pass through Wisconsin.
Yep. I easily, and again, defense hasn't improved much from last year. They ranked 22nd last year, but they still won 10 games because of an incredible offense. Addition again of Martellus Bennett with Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. 3 of the final 4 games are on the road, but they do have a favorable Week 8 bye as opposed to the Week 4 bye. They weren't a fan of playing 10-plus games straight to end the season. A little bit on this in the moment, but I love Jamal Williams on this team. I'll talk about him more in a second, but I love Jamal Williams on this team. I think he'll make a bigger impact than most people think. So your very own Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams right here from the Wasatch front. Rookie for Green Bay. Green Bay actually brought in a few running backs to compete with Ty Montgomery.
Yep.
Green Bay, honestly, they could win 9 games and they'll win this division.
Yep.
Chicago is in shambles. Detroit is trending down.
Yep.
It's going to be a pretty easy road for Mike McCarthy's squad.
You know, I agree with that. As far as Minnesota goes, they're in a very tricky situation at quarterback. The Vikings declined the 5th-year option of Teddy Bridgewater. I know he says he feels great, but obviously there's some kind of lack of confidence with how he's feeling. Sam Bradford lost his composure once they played Philadelphia, his former team, after that 5-0 start. But I have them winning 8 games. Again, as far as the other 2 teams go, I have Lions. I feel like they kind of blew their chance for the division last year. I thought maybe they'd be turning the corner, but it turns out that most of those comeback wins were flukes against weaker teams. I have them winning 6.
Completely a feign
Exactly.
in Detroit.
No, totally. And again, the Bears are still the Chicago Bears.
Chicago's going to probably be picking in the top 5 for a long time to come. Now, I think Mitchell Trubisky has the right stuff, but what they gave up for him to move up one spot in the draft, that was a disastrous day for that franchise.
Also, they lost Alshon Jeffrey, and they opened against Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, and Green Bay. So bright side this season, Bears fans are going to be hosting the Browns and the 49ers, but again, I have them winning about 3 games. Not too much going on in Chicago.
Rough days for the Bears. Let's move on to the NFC South.
Perfect.
So this is kind of a scheduling oddity for the defending NFC champions. They do not have a division game until November.
Yeah,
at which point they could very well be 6-2, 5-1, depending on how 5-2, 6-1.
Yep.
Depending on how those games against Green Bay and New England go. Beyond those 2, there's not a lot of losses leading up to November.
Mm-hmm. Again, like you said, I think they have a really easy start, a softer schedule to open the season. The tougher slate is going to come towards the end. The kind of vibe I'm getting from this Falcon team, not so much a Super Bowl hangover as it has to do with their schedule. I think we're going to see fast start, disappointing finish. I don't know if that sounds familiar, Falcons fans, but it's going to be tough. They do have some very tough games. Again, the division's very strong from top to bottom. I see a bounce back from Carolina. I see Tampa Bay, the team that's about to turn the corner. We're both going to have a little bit to say about that in the moment. And then New Orleans is a solid team. I mean, you can't really count anyone out in this division.
It's going to be the most hotly contested division in the NFL, in my opinion. Carolina made a splash on draft night. Christian McCaffrey. And let's not forget Curtis Samuel from Ohio State, basically a McCaffrey clone. You got 2 players who could play from the backfield, from the slot, and from anywhere else besides the offensive line. Carolina's going to make a bounce back.
I say so as well.
But Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston,
Oof,
my what a revelation he has come. And how about the addition of Deshaun Jackson?
I think that is the perfect addition. We were just talking the other day about how perfectly we think Jackson will fit into this offense if, of course, the attitude is in check and if there are no injury bugs. Just the way he draws so much attention from the opposing pass defense because he's so fast. And, of course, then you got Mike Evans. 2 completely different play styles, whereas Jackson's more of a finesse, really fast, athletic guy. Evans really physical, pulls down so many catches that are just incredible. I don't know how he manages to get those. They have solid running backs, solid defense. This is a team that's going to turn the corner. every year some borderline playoff team makes the jump. We saw Carolina do it a few years ago. We saw Atlanta go from 8-8 to the Super Bowl. For me, this Bucs team is going to do that. I have them going for 12
Things
wins.
are going up in Tampa Bay. How about this division's quarterback position? You got not one, not two, not three, but every team has an MVP candidate directing the huddle. It's going to be a tough run for any team. We'll have to pay attention to New Orleans. Anytime you put two Hall of Famers in the backfield, no matter where point they are in the progression, that's something to watch.
For sure.
I do have Atlanta coming out top once again in this division. I could very well see just about every team going 3-3 in division play here.
The funny thing, like you say, I think top three will be Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Atlanta, and any one of those three teams could miss the playoffs, and it could be the matter of 2 games, 3 games. So I mean, it's going to come down to those divisional games. I have Tampa Bay going for 12. I can see the Panthers getting between 10 and 11, Falcons 10 and 11, New Orleans 7 to 9. It's going to be interesting for sure, I can tell you that much.
Interesting things brewing in the NFC South. And now from the most hotly contested division in football, we go to arguably the weakest division. What's going on in the NFC West, Josh?
Well, not much offense, not many touchdowns, I can tell you that much. Bad TV ratings anytime those Rams or those 49ers are on the television set. Again, I think the easiest pick we're going to be making this whole preview, Seattle Seahawks should run away with this division. Even though I think they took a slight step back this season, no one else really took a step forward. Specifically, I was really disappointed with the Cardinals last year. A big Super Bowl sleeper, and really average, to be honest. I mean, I love David Johnson. Love to see them give Seattle a run for their money. But Seattle has an easy schedule. 3 or 4 primetime games are at home. They play in the Eastern time zone just twice. No back-to-backs on the road. And 5 of the Seahawks' 16 games this season are against opponents who made the playoffs. So only 5 of 16 are reigning playoff teams. Again, you got Eddie Lacy coming in, and you got former number 2 pick Luke Joeckel coming in on the offensive line. So they should have no problem this week, NFC West, even though they haven't made any big steps forward.
In the infamous words of Coach Lee, not so fast, my friend.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
Arizona is going to make the biggest bounce back in the entire NFL.
Oh.
Carson Palmer, age 37. He knows his time is up.
I know,
he has
I know
the
his time
best
is up.
receiving running back in the NFL, and David Johnson, probably the best overall running back, if you ask me. No offense to Mr. Elliott.
No, or Mr. Bell.
Arizona is going to sweep Seattle in division play on the way to a division championship.
Oh, man.
The Cardinals, a year late. Last year, they were the trendy sleeper pick for a Super Bowl prediction.
Wow.
That just came 1 year too early. Some of these draft picks, like Robert Nikamichi on defense, he's going to make a big stride.
Wow.
I like the offensive line. Arizona taking the NFC West.
Wow.
Cardinals back to the playoffs again.
Our first disagreement, my heart broke right there. You know, I do love the Cardinals, I gotta tell you that. I just can't get past the Seahawks' easy schedule. Again, the Cardinals are a big wild card. They could easily go for 10. Wouldn't be surprised again if they go for 8. David Johnson is just incredible. We're only going to see improvement from him. But they have 2 cross-country trips, and the London game could take a toll on this aging roster with Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer. 4 or 7 on the road in the middle of the year, 2 of the final 3 on the road. So if they come out on top of them in this division, they will be battle tested and they'll be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. But taking the division and sweeping the Seahawks,
sweeping the Seahawks. Wow. Carson Palmer punches his ticket to Canton this season.
Wow, there you go. You heard it here first, guys. And again, elsewhere in the division, as far as LA goes, nowhere really to go but up. Speaking offensively,
I do like Coach Sean McVay. I think he has that team going in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not ready to give up on Jared Goff. I do think he has the mechanics, but he doesn't have the support.
No, not at all.
They should have been drafting offensive line basically in all 7 rounds. Instead, they got a lot of skill position guys. It's gonna be tough going in Los Angeles. I do have them improving. I don't have them improving to 500. I think 6 to 7 wins Huge improvement.
6 to 7.
And then, of course, San Francisco will be stuck in football purgatory.
They are in limbo.
That team is not in a good place. Not
Not at
even
all.
my man John Lynch is going to do much to turn that around.
Nope.
It's going to be a two-man race in the NFC West with Arizona. I do like Seattle has a wild card team.
Of course.
And along those lines, join us for segment 2 in coming out live and join us live for segment 2 coming live in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.